Hi, Dawn Levine here from Georgia Wills Trust and Probate Firm. And in this video, we're going to cover one of the Ask Me Anything questions that we often get. So one question that we often get from clients, potential clients, is, do I need an irrevocable trust or a revocable trust? There's lots of information out there on the internet that says you need an irrevocable trust. Most people do not need an irrevocable trust. Those are pretty rare, actually. Most people are going to be better served by a revocable trust. Irrevocable trusts are not revocable. That's what the title means. And they are used for very narrow purposes usually. So, for example, if you had enough in assets that you were in the inheritance tax range, so 12 million plus as of today, with if you had more than that you were going to leave to loved ones, there could be some exposure to inheritance tax for them. And you might use an irrevocable trust to get some assets out of your estate for inheritance tax purposes. That doesn't affect most people. Most people are not in the 12 million plus range. So most people are not going to need that kind of irrevocable trust. Irrevocable trust can also be used for asset protection purposes in some cases. If you thought there might be creditors in the future and you can live without this asset, because once you put it in the irrevocable trust, you no longer control it. If you have an asset that you wanted to set aside and shelter from those kinds of liabilities, then you might use an irrevocable trust for that purpose. But there's a couple of things there that I hinted at that are an important consideration there. Number one, it's not going to protect you from a creditor you already know about. So if there's already been a car accident, it's too late. You can't do that. The other thing that I hinted at is once you put that asset in the trust, you're not going to control it anymore. If you can control it, it's not going to protect it. You're essentially giving that asset away. Most of the people that we work with are not ready to give their assets away. So that's not going to be something that most people want to do. Plus, you really only do that kind of planning if you are in a high liability kind of situation. So for example, if you were an OBGYN, they get sued a lot. And so you might decide to shelter some assets so that if someone is injured, they're just going to go after your insurance and not your assets. So most people don't fall into a category like that. So that type of irrevocable trust for asset protection, it's just not going to appeal to most people. I don't do elder law nursing home planning, but it's my understanding that there are irrevocable trusts can be used for those kinds of purposes. So you would need to check with somebody who does that sort of thing if that's what you're trying to do. But again, there are lots of rules on how that's going to work. If you are going to need that nursing home within 5 years, then that's not going to work. You're not going to qualify for nursing home assistance if you need it within that window. So the rules are very, very strict on how that's going to work. There are not a ton of attorneys who do that nursing home planning well. So be very careful if you're looking to do that kind of planning. Definitely feel free to reach out to us for a referral. We don't do it, but we'll put you in the hands of people that we trust enough that we've sent our own family members to. So usually the irrevocable trusts have very limited purposes and are just not suitable for most people. Most people are going to benefit from a revocable trust. A revocable trust can help you avoid probate. It can create a smooth transition. It can give you privacy. There's lots of good attributes, benefits from using a revocable trust. But a revocable trust is one that is owned and controlled by you. You still control all the assets in it. And everything stays tied to your social security number for the type that we do for most clients. So there's no increased income tax for you. Your income tax return doesn't change in any way. And you can change this document anytime you like, as long as you still have the capacity to do that. So most people want that freedom. I don't want to try to figure out right now everything that's going to happen in the next 30 years for my family. I would like some flexibility in case there's a dramatically changed circumstance that I can adjust for that. Set it and forget it kind of mentality is, in some respects, you have to try to do that, give it your best guess in case something happens to you tomorrow. But if you've got the opportunity to revisit things 10 years from now, that can be a tremendous benefit for your family. So revocable trusts are what most people are looking for. So just be very careful about information you might see on the internet promising the sun and the moon with this irrevocable asset protection. Some of that is just bogus. There are lots of people out there, like every other business, there are lots of people out there selling snake oil. So just be very careful about where you go. I hope you found this helpful and look forward to talking to you in other Ask Me Anything videos.